In June 1992, farmer Wu Anai set out to prove a local legend. A pond in his Chinese village had no bottom. He and his neighbors rented a pump. 17 days later, the water finally dropped and exposed something impossible. A rectangular shaft cut straight into solid rock. Below it, a massive cavern no one remembered building. That discovery drew archaeologists, geologists, and engineers from China, Japan, Poland, Singapore, and the United States. More than 3 decades later, they still can't explain who built it, why it was hidden, or how history forgot it. The Longyu Caves lie beneath Fenghuang Hill, Phoenix Hill, beside the river in eastern China. So far, 24 caverns have been found. Every one was cut by hand from solid siltstone. Together, they cover more than 30,000 square meters. One cavern alone can stretch beyond 1,000 square meters, with ceilings nearly 30 meters high, enough space to hide a 10-story building underground. Today, the landscape is quiet. Rice fields, fish ponds, a slow river bend, the kind of place most maps ignore. But 2,000 years ago, this valley was being torn apart and rebuilt. Researchers date the caves to somewhere between the late Warring States period and the early Western Han Dynasty, roughly 2,200 to 2,000 years ago. That timing matters. The ancient Yue kingdom, with its own culture, bronze work, and river trade, was being absorbed by Chu, conquered by Qin, then folded into the Han Empire. Even Longyu County was officially established during this same political upheaval. So whoever carved these chambers was working in a landscape transformed by conquest, inside a river valley that had only just stopped belonging to itself. Then the caves vanished from history. No inscription. No imperial order. No tax record. No surviving document mentions the workforce, the purpose, or the removal of nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock. For almost 2,000 years, the entrances remained hidden beneath still ponds, mistaken for ordinary water. Only one 17th-century poem hinted that something unusual lay below. It offered no answer, just proof that someone, centuries ago, knew the caves were there. Bottomless pond wasn't unique to this village. Across southern China, farmers used the phrase for any pond so deep no one had touched the floor. Most were just ponds. That's why no one questioned this one for 2,000 years. A legend repeated everywhere doesn't trigger an investigation. It gets ignored. Wu Anai's pond only became extraordinary when someone finally drained it. And that reveals the first clue running through the entire site. Whoever built these caverns left almost nothing behind and made sure they stayed hidden. Study began almost immediately after the 1992 discovery. The first question was obvious. How old are these caves? There was no inscription, no imperial record, no name to trace. So researchers worked backward from the evidence. Pottery fragments found in the cavern silt matched Western Han styles, dating from roughly 206 BCE to 23 AD. Art historians found similar patterns in known Han stonework. Geologists and engineers reached the same broad conclusion. The excavation methods fit bronze and early Iron Age technology, not something far older or recently built. 3 different lines of evidence pointed to the same window. Late Warring States to early Han. Roughly 2,000 years ago. But that is where the agreement ends. No test has narrowed the date beyond a span of centuries. No inscription identifies the builders. No record explains the workforce. And no surviving document accounts for the removal of nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock by hand. Researchers agree on the age. They still cannot agree on who built the caves, how the project stayed unrecorded, or what could justify labor on this scale. The strongest evidence inside Longyu is carved into every surface. Across all 24 caverns, the walls, ceilings, and pillars carry the same pattern. Parallel diagonal chisel marks. Same angle. Same spacing. Repeated across more than 30,000 square meters of rock. This was not a crowd of laborers improvising. It was a standardized system, taught, controlled, and repeated at enormous scale. The precision is even harder to explain. In some places, 2 caverns sit less than a meter apart, separated by a wall only 50 centimeters thick. Yet the crews never broke through. Not once. They achieved that accuracy by hand, without modern surveying equipment. The support pillars show the same level of planning. Each is shaped like a fishtail, wide at the top and bottom, narrow through the middle, to spread the weight of the ceiling. It is a principle engineers still use today. And these builders understood it 2,000 years ago. The caves date to roughly the same era as the Terracotta Army, built for the Qin Empire hundreds of kilometers away. But the contrast is staggering. The Terracotta Army left imperial records, named officials, and thousands of catalogued figures. Longyu left nothing. No document. No builder. No explanation. A project of comparable ambition, erased from history. But the tool marks are not the strangest thing inside Longyu. In the smallest cavern, just 400 square meters, one wall breaks the pattern. Carved into the rock is a horse, a bird, and a fish. Land, air, water, together in a single image. Nothing like it appears anywhere else in the complex. Every other surface follows the same mechanical rhythm of diagonal chisel marks. But here, someone stopped digging and started creating. The carving has no human figures. That matters because Hanira art was filled with people, officials, ancestors, mourners. This image has none. Some researchers link it to the older Yue culture. Others call it decoration. Neither explanation has been proven. And the carving appears only once. One wall. One composition. No copies. No clear meaning. For almost the entire project, the builders worked like engineers, uniform, precise, functional. Then, in this single chamber, someone made something meant to be seen. And no one knows why. Inside Cave 2 sits something even more unsettling. A stone statue with no head. No inscription. No missing fragment. No record of who it represented or what happened to it. Researchers have proposed 2 possibilities. The head may have been deliberately removed, or it may have been lost to flooding, erosion, and centuries of silt. Neither theory has been proven. So the statue remains where it was found. Faceless, unidentified, and impossible to explain. The people living above Longyu are not outsiders to this story. They come from the same river valley that has been farmed for generations. Xianbeikan is still an ordinary village. Rice fields, fish ponds, homes built over caverns no one remembered. In 2013, the site was named a National Key Cultural Heritage Site of China. But that recognition highlights what is missing. A living memory of who built it. This land once belonged to the Yue kingdom before Chu, Qin, and Han absorbed it into larger empires. The culture did not vanish in a single moment. It was folded into something bigger. And somewhere in that process, the story of Longyu disappeared. Today, the caves are protected by people who share the builder's land. But not their memory. Beneath a quiet farming village in Zhejiang sit 24 hand-carved caverns. 2,000 years old. 6 football fields of excavated rock. Inside, identical chisel marks, one unexplained carving of a horse, bird, and fish, and a headless statue no one can identify. The site is nationally protected. Yet most people have never heard of it. Had you? Comment below and subscribe for more history your curriculum left out.